Hello and good morning. This is Talking Devils, the leading independent Manchester United podcast. I'm your host, Dave Murphy, today. And today I'm joined once again by the legendary Manchester United and England defender, Mr. Paul Parker. Hey, Paul, how you doing? No Wayne today, just me and you.
I'm fine, Dave. So in theory, everything should flow quite well. Pressure's on you.
Well, it's like I said, it's just the two of us. Some might say it's a better pairing than Bruce and Pallister and Vidic and Rio. I would have to agree with that. Maybe not as good as McGrath and Moran, but we're definitely up there as a good pairing. So, right, let's get right into it. False dawn against Chelsea. We roll up to Brentford and we literally get rolled over. Brentford 3, Manchester United 1. We were hoping for some record-breaking statistic from Ruben Amorim of 2 league wins in a row. I was quite optimistic going into the game, Paul. Turns out, it's the hope that kills you. Like I said, Brentford 3, Manchester United 1. I'll let you start because I'm trying to keep it all in right now. What did you think of that performance on Saturday?
Well, I remember this time last week, the way when I was talking about Brentford, because I saw them early season, and I was trying to find negatives with them regarding the fact of Thomas Frank leaving. I was shocked. I was quite pleased in a way. I've got a little bit of time for Brentford because of their history and where they are now and how they've achieved it and what they're sustaining. And everything was geared towards, I didn't fancy United against them. And it just, obviously it came into fruition, but I just couldn't see it. Now, you said at the top of this, Dave, you talked about a false dawn against Chelsea. I think now everyone should have an idea that there's certain teams where you know that United are going to compete. Any team without so-called legs, which ain't many, any team that wants to pass in front all the time and not make runs in behind, they're okay. They can compete. But any team that shows the willingness to make runs with and without the ball, they can't do it. The midfield just hasn't got the legs. So the weekend didn't surprise me. I was disappointed. When the penalty come up, I thought, oh, there we go, that would do. You'd accept that. But, Bruno, again, misses it. I think now, Bruno's becoming the Ronaldo of Portugal, that he wants to take every free kick and every penalty. You think, he seems to have done that. And I think we know him, Bueno was a regular penalty taker, a consistent goal scorer, a very good free kick taker as well. So I'm just wondering is there a little bit of rivalry there, but the negative rivalry. So it doesn't surprise me, the result. The one that, I just look at games and I look at Sunderland and I'm seriously worried about Sunderland. Seriously worried. I was worried the moment I saw him at Crystal Palace 2 weeks ago. I was even talking about the Manchester United game while I was on air, talking about Crystal Palace playing them at home and what I saw about them, their presence, their physiques, and their running ability. And that's what we've come to, the Premier League, this big extravaganza of football, the world's best league. Everything is all about legs. If you're not a top side with the top players, you've got to have legs, and that's the United top side in name only now. They haven't got legs. They haven't got good enough footballers, and that's why they can't compete.
Well, we did speak a little bit last week. Wayne spoke about Keith Andrews and what he would bring to this, what he would bring to Brentford and what he'd bring to this game. Obviously, Keith Andrews from his time with the Ireland team, relatively inexperienced coach. but completely outmastered Amorim, quite simply by, as you said, just getting in behind. I mean, that's not a game that Brentford normally play, from what I can see. But it was easy to outclass Amorim's tactics by just knocking it long, it seemed. And Keith Andrews got it bang on, and we never adapted to it at all.
Yeah, but it's happening every game. That's the thing, and there's not a lot he can do with it. To be perfectly honest, he's struggling with it. We know about the stubbornness that's been mentioned by everyone now. Everyone now has got full knowledge of Manchester United. They've left their team behind and decided that their whole thing is to go all in on Manchester United. That's what it is, because that gives you more coverage, that gives you more scope and more notoriety if you talk about Manchester United. You know, even Jamie O'Hara's doing it. He sounds like a Barrow boy, but even he's doing it as well, and he's meant to be a Tottenham fan, and even he's doing it. So it's giving him notoriety to get on the radio and slag off Manchester United. That's where they are at this moment in time. It's the worst kind of being, one of the biggest clubs in the world in certain ways. Because even, I'm sure, Real Madrid wouldn't even get talked about as much as what Manchester United are at this moment. So I really, when people are, again, like they were doing, look at Crystal Palace. I'll talk about Palace, but the manager's come in there, he's looked at what he's got, and he's just gone, right, this is the best way to play, and he's gone and done it, and the players have gone and dealt with it. Manchester United are doing it, and they're struggling with it, and it is the players can't do it. What a load of rubbish. How can you be playing for the biggest, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and not be able to adapt? How can you not do that? The players can't do it. Well, if he goes to a back four and goes to a 4-3-3 or whatever, everything's now talking systems. Just talk about men who's supposed to love the game. They would have the same problems. They would concede that goal. When I still keep seeing Harry Maguire running back towards his own goal like a kid in the kindergarten, his head's back. He can't go any quicker. It's just awful. And yet he's played him in now. He plays him there. De Ligt's the only one who, at this moment, I think, with the authority to play, and then he won't do it. And look at he's not playing Euro. I'm not really understand that. No Mainu. He puts Agate in front of him, and I said this last week, Dave. This looks like a personal situation with Mainu. It's too personal now, in my opinion. What's going on there? Why he isn't playing? And I'm just seeing on here is that someone's just put up there, and I should have said it. I went to a World Cup in 1990. All of a sudden, we have a poor performance and a poor results against your fellow countrymen in that World Cup, and the man in charge goes and does something which an England team had never done before, and play three at the back. And then I was a Football League player like everyone else. And no big-time Charlies ever called us elite. We were just called good players or bad players or average. But we just dealt with it and got on with it. There was no way he can't do that. But why can't these players seem to do it? Because we want to cause problems and have tactical situations so everyone can have a big debate. That is the problem now. Everyone wants a big debate about the simplest game in the world. It's so simple. Get hold of 4 T-shirts, put them a distance apart, 50 yards apart, and put one 10 yards away from the other. You got 2 goals, and you just play. You have fun, and you enjoy yourself. Now, no one enjoys themselves. What I'm seeing now, Manchester, no one seems. They look like they don't want to be there. And everyone then puts that on the manager. But it'll be exactly the same the next time, because the same sour apples are still in the barrel.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about the team itself and the selection itself, Paul. Right now, you mentioned Harry Maguire in there ahead of Euro. Luke Shaw is still getting in. How Dalot gets into the team is beyond baffling. I mean that that third goal was just embarrassing. It was, to be honest. He literally ran away from the defender. One of the things I noticed on Saturday, Paul, which really, I can't explain it in all the years I'm following football. You mentioned last week about Obi, has completely disappeared. We brought him in from Arsenal. We obviously made him a lot of promises. Paul, I don't know whether you noticed or if you did, but we had two goalkeepers on the bench on Saturday, and we had one official attacking player, which was Xerxes. Mason Mount, you could maybe call him an attacking player, but we literally had one attacking player on the bench and two goalkeepers. That just blows my mind. The rest were made up of one or two midfielders and then defenders. Paul, one of the statistics that came out at the weekend was out of 49 games Amorim's been in charge, he's changed his centre back in 42 of those games. He's brought on a centre back in 42 of those games, and we've talked about this many times. In a lot of those cases, we've been losing a game, and he's brought on a centre back. So I just want to pick your brain a little bit there. Obviously, you were England international, Manchester United regular. I mean, how does that affect the team when you're constantly changing the centre back? One of the commentators actually made the valid point of the only time you really change a centre back is when he's injured. It's one of the most important positions on the pitch, aside from a goalkeeper, and you need to keep that solid. 42 times out of 49 games he's changed the centre back, Paul. What's the thinking behind it?
Blimey hell, Dave! If I get this right, you might turn around and say I should get the job, which would scare me. I can't explain it. I think everyone shrugs their shoulders, and you don't do it. If he's going to take a centre half off and bring a centre half on, then for me, what he's got to do then, in some way, I'd think then the next move then would be push one of the other centre halves, one of the other two, out to a fullback position and get a four at the back. And then push people forward. But it's just a like for like. A like for like should be done maybe when you're comfortable. Or like you say, someone's injured. Or you might bring on a like for like because that like is somebody who attacks. If you're chasing the game, like for likes are normally done defensively, are done with fullbacks. That's generally where you'd go and do it. Or if you're losing a game, you would take off maybe one of your defenders to send someone forward to chase. So it doesn't make any sense. He can't seem to explain it himself. I'm just disappointed because I like the fella. They're saying about him, I like this person. Everything about him is right for the football club. But what he's doing now is wrong. And it's all well and good going, you'd lost your job, yeah, but I stuck by my guns, I had my beliefs and everything. Well, hold on a minute, you're out of work. You've just managed one of the biggest clubs in the world and you failed because you were stubborn. So if someone's going to employ him again, they've got to turn and say, you have to be flexible. We know what you want to do, but we want to see you, and that's what's happening now. You're virtually told how people want you to manage because they've got all these other people involved in one job, and they're going to turn and say, well, we want you to change. We want you to, to be flexible. And I always thought you had to be flexible. If I was a football, when I was playing, a manager goes, oh, I'm going to play your centre half, Paul. I don't want to play there, boss. Oh, okay, carry on playing right back then. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Somebody wants, no, sorry, I don't want to do it. And that's mostly, I really don't understand how he's allowed to do it. Any other industry you're in and you're up there and your decisions ain't working, the person above is going to go, well, what about that? No, that's my philosophy. And what the next person does above him does, he goes, okay, severance pay. We need to move forward as a business. We need someone more open-minded. He's not open-minded. How can he call himself a great if he's not open-minded? We have to be open-minded as a footballer, because if you're not open-minded as a footballer, your teammates wouldn't be happy with you, and surely the manager would say, can't have you in my team. But he's not willing. He's willing to take, but he's not willing to give. He's got to give a bit back and give those, and in game, change it. Nothing, do it in game and let everyone say, oh, look, he's done it. If it feels embarrassed to start it, do it in game. And everyone go, wow, that's great. Look at him. That's what the media will do. They'll bum it up about the way his tactical skills. Get a bit of that. Get a bit of people, patting you on the back by doing it in game. When you're losing, when things ain't right. Because you look at the players, the majority of players he hasn't got much pace. So you think to yourself, you've got to bulk it up. Get everyone closer together. Because we all know it's easy to destroy. It's really hard to create. Really hard to create.
You just mentioned there about change within the game within the 90 minutes. I've been in disbelief at a lot of the things Amorim's done, and every manager from time to time gets the in-game management wrong, but Amorim seems to get it wrong on a consistent basis. Brings me on to this question from Dan. He said, what does Paul think of Mason Mount playing left wing back twice? It's symbolic of the failings with the system and the shape, too rigid and predictable. Before we jump onto that one, Paul, I've said this numerous times. It shows the failings of the manager that, he's bringing on an attacking midfielder and playing him at left wing back. Probably never played there ever. And it's the stubbornness to just keep that shape. It just makes no sense. So Mason Mount, the new left back, maybe for England in the next World Cup?
Well, no, I think you're going a bit far there, Dave, on that one. But no, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, we're talking about him as a wing back, going there, left wing back. Sometimes you do it because there's been injury or something, but when it happens on a couple of occasions, you're kind of going, no, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like all of a sudden, when I was playing, Manchester United are losing, all of a sudden you see Paul Parker at centre forwards. Everyone would just turn around going, what's going on? It doesn't make any sense to go and do that. And to put Mason Mount will go and do a half decent job. Could he be any worse than Adallo in that position? I think the answer would be no.
Fair point.
I mean, he can go and do a job, but it shouldn't be that way. It's Manchester United. You don't put people in just to go and do a job. It doesn't make any sense. And as much as I look at things and I want to really say things about what the manager's doing, everything starts from above.
Yeah.
That is it. And the people above are the ones who brought him in and has allowed this situation to grow. It's just growing and growing and growing because of that. So now they've got to make the decision of saying, look, we need you, and we're saying to you, you've got to change. You have to change. You've got to stop us losing games. Go to 4 at the back. Maybe go 4-3-3. Even go 4-5-1. Do something, because we all know there's no athletes in the team. No athletes at all. Bulk it up and force everyone wide and then bring them in. And if anything, become a counter-attacking team. That will put smiles on a lot of Manchester United fans because they will see a counter-attacking team maybe. That way they'll see that happening. But it's an easy way of doing it. As I was saying before, destroy and then try to create. Try those little bits because it's easy. It's really easy. It's still difficult, but to get things and make things difficult for people. The next bit is, though, you've got to make it more difficult for them for when you go the other way. But first of all, stop that bit. Stop making it easy, having Harry Maguire in the middle where everyone's going past him like a cone on the M25, and he's just doing that. That's the problem. His head's just doing that. Can't have him playing in the middle. No positional sense. Doesn't know where his starting position is, and the obvious one is he's got no recovery pace. Steve Bruce had no great pace. He had a hell of a brain. Yeah. Hell of a brain. And what he would do, he just knew. And when I'm next to him, I knew in my mind how Brucey was, always reminding me, don't leave him on his own. Don't leave him on his own. And you never done it out of sheer respect. Never done it, and you worked with him. There's none of that going on now because they're too far away. Everything's about getting wide and getting the ball. The problem is the team don't keep the ball. So if you split too wide, gaps, nick, bang, it's straight through. He needs to go and watch Crystal Palace. Give him videos of Palace, what he's doing with players who cost less, are paid less, and see what he's got. And he's got team togetherness. Yep. That's the difference. That's the bit that doesn't matter what money you got, you can't buy togetherness. They haven't got togetherness there. So there's still issues going on there. When you look at the scenarios of Manchester United and Crystal Palace again get a win, which they deserve. Manchester United get another defeat, which they deserve. You can't ever say United have the only game I've seen them unlucky in this season where they should have got something was Arsenal.
Yeah. Another false start.
Yeah, but again, it was Arsenal.
I want to jump into some of the comments here, Paul, real quickly. Wayne says, League is so poor, the Champions League will still be wide open by Christmas. I believe that as well. Problem is, if United remain in relegation form, we got another one here from Mark says, what I don't like is the Portuguese bias. Dalot should be nowhere near the first team, along with Shaw, Maguire, Mount. Bruno, he's playing for the sack. I agree with some of that, not with all of it. I think Bruno deserves to be in the team, but I just don't think we're using them to the best of his ability. Then again, if we do nothing, then we will at best be in 11 points after 11 games. That's catastrophic. The games after this weekend are brutal, they really are. And I wanted to talk about that real quick, Paul, is that a quick look this morning shows that since Amorim's come in, I'm just talking about league here, there's 99 points available since he came in last November. We picked up 34 points in that time. We've conceded 53 goals, I believe. We're at like minus 14 or so, which is just mind blown. We can talk about Sunderland in a minute, but one of the statistics I read over the weekend about Sunderland was since April of this year, Manchester United have picked up 12 points in the Premier League. Sunderland have picked up 11, and they only start playing it in August. So very, 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 very worrying times for us at the moment. Paul, I want to really talk about. Before we move on from this, I want to talk about Ruben Amorim, and I rolled out those statistics. It's something like a 27% win rate. First question and only question is, how does he still have a job? And I'm gonna give two reasons why I believe he may still be in a job right now. One of them is, you had mentioned it earlier on, quite rightly, is the people above him. If they sack him within less than a year, it falls on them, right? It solely falls on them that they got it wrong. I believe that plays a part as well, and they don't want to admit they got it wrong so early. The second one is, and I'm not sure how true this is, but it seemed to be reported by a lot of the media outlets, is that if Manchester United fire him within the first year, he gets a £12 million payout. If they fire him after the first year, it goes down. So there's two huge factors in that. So, like I said, 27% win rate. And one last thing on this, before I get really wound up. West Ham have gained more points than Manchester United since Ruben Amorim came in, but yet they deemed Potter not good enough for the job and sacked him the weekend. And here we are going into the Sunderland game with the same manager that refuses to change. To me, he's an amateur coach in a professional job. There's no other explanation for it. Paul, how long does this go on for?
Well, it seems it goes on until such time they can pay him less to get rid of him. But what you said at the top of that, if that's the truth, and that's shocking. That's absolutely shocking that is the position or something, because given everything, by then it could be the point of that United are fighting to get out the bottom three, and it could be a little bit of a gap, and every game becomes even more pressured for some of these players here who don't really want that. They want the easy road of playing for Manchester United. But they want the adulation of everything, having that on them. They don't want to be fighting to get out the bottom. There's not enough guts there for them to go and do that. So if they get into that position, it could be a big problem. The next person coming in will demand maybe more money. Will demand more money for the fact to get him out the mire. So it would cost him even more money to get someone to walk into that job, knowing that they have to go through every 20 minutes having to do an interview to talk about every single situation. That's one of the reasons why the job is so tough when you take it on. You need that little bit more about you to take it on. You know, winning a Portuguese league, is that always enough? Unless you're someone, you've got a character or someone who's got that bit, like a Mourinho, who's got that bit inside him, that inner thing, which is very few, then it's hard to survive in that way. And that's what he's struggling with now. He hasn't got this. He's away from home. He's somewhere different, and it's a different challenge. Challenge at home would be easier for him than what it is here. So I think now I think they have to move on. But the problem is who they get. When I'm hearing people talking about Gareth Southgate, I'm kind of coughing. You know, I'm looking now. I want a bit more, a nice person, and we'll end up with Shaw and Maguire centre halves in the back four. Well, that's what we'll end up with, or something like that. He might suit it because he's willing to accept everything. The people who are the players that are brought in, he's willing just to say, yeah, he's okay because he's been England manager and managed Manchester United. Fantastic CV. You know, don't mention Middlesbrough anymore to him.
If Gareth Southgate is the option, I'd rather sit through this pain of Amorim because it'll be twice as bad under Gareth Southgate. Paul, I know we got to finish up early, but before I go, start the season, seen Sunderland in the first game, seen them near the end of last season. They weren't in any great shape. These were the games that I thought, well, now we're going to pad our goal stats. Now I'm deeply concerned. Sunderland at home at the weekend. They had a great win at the weekend. Concerned?
100% concerned. 100%. I saw him when I saw him at Crystal Palace. They're not great. They don't make a lot of opportunities. They're not a footballing team in that sense. When they get in the final third, everything's done easy. Everything's just done early and easy. They're enjoyable to watch because they're a little bit football of what we remembered and what we enjoyed, the way they play simple. Their main focal point, Xhaka. Xhaka is absolutely incredible for him. He runs them. He organises them. He talks. He gets across to people. He brings people with him. They have got a good 7-8 athletes on that pitch. Absolutely incredible, strong athletes who 9 times out of 10 won't fall over. They'll keep going because they want what's on the other side. So the midfield is so strong and quick and willing to run beyond to join in. So it's a tough game. It's a wake up call when they arrive. Everyone be looking at them because they are different. I did that game at Crystal Palace. Xhaka was the only one I knew. The rest of them I didn't know them. There weren't one Mackham on the pitch. No local players at all. Nothing there. It was just completely new team. This manager knows what he's had to do. He's gone and talked about it. It wouldn't surprise me if he talked to Thomas Frank and said, "This is what. Well, how did you start up in your first season? What did you think you should do?" Thomas Frank thought, I'm going to go out and get myself athletes, go and get players who are strong runners, ones who'll keep going. And he built from there. And that's why Brentford are still where they are, have been there with no great threat. A little bit of a wobble, but no great threat. And that's what teams are doing now when they come in this league. Survival football. And I don't mean sit back and hope. I mean taking the game to them in a different way to what they want you to do so they can pick you off.
So for me, it's. I think this weekend is the nail in the coffin. I mean, we've got Liverpool the following week away at Anfield. If it's not going to be Sunderland, it's going to be the Liverpool game because I absolutely dread going to Anfield with this team. We're too easy. We're too predictable. Like I said, Keith Andrews, and I'm not being disrespectful to him, but he's 5 games into his Premier League management career, and he completely outsmart what we're led to believe is one of the best Portuguese managers around, or one of the best managers around outside the Premier League. If he can do that, I fear what Liverpool are going to do to us. Paul, appreciate you coming on as always. Thanks everyone for all your questions and comments. Wayne made a fairly good point there. He said, Dave, with a 6-point question, I think my record is 3. Well, the only thing I'll say, Wayne, is my 6 points ended in 2 minutes. Your 3 normally takes 20 minutes. So thanks again for everyone for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And myself and Paul and Wayne will be back next Monday after another maybe unconvincing win against Sunderland, or maybe not. But thanks again. Appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your week.